As an anesthesiologist, I frequently offer patients the opportunity to request music to listen to as they're going under anesthesia. This offer is often surprising to patients, but what might be even more surprising is the fact that those of us who work in an operating room actually listen to music on a very regular basis. So much so that some operating rooms are even outfitted with their own speaker system. My name's Max Feinstein, and I'm an anesthesiologist filming here at the Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. And in this video, I talk about the ins and outs of listening to music in the operating room. If you find this video interesting or helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribe to the channel. Let's put on some nice background music and dive into the video. In addition to the fact that music is just enjoyable for many people to listen to, there are several specific benefits that have been studied as far as music is concerned in the operating room. One of the purported benefits is an increase in concentration among surgeons, anesthesiologists, and nurses. This has actually been studied pretty extensively. Overall, studies do seem to suggest that music increases concentrating ability for people who are in the operating room. However, there are several studies that suggest that music can actually be distracting. What it really comes down to is probably just a function of, hey, are you paying attention or were you distracted by the music in the background? You get my point. Another really interesting area of study is the relationship between patients and music, and specifically how much medication they require for pain control. One study randomized patients to either listen to music or not listen to music while they were undergoing a procedure under sedation, and that sedation was controlled by the patient himself or herself, so they could administer their own medication as needed during the surgery. The study found that patients who were randomized to listen to music during surgery gave themselves much less medication, indicating a significantly lower need for pain medication during surgery. There are some other studies that support these results, but these studies aren't without their limitations. It's pretty interesting research. I've put some links in the description below if you'd like to read more of these studies. The choice of who gets to DJ in the operating room is actually a pretty thorny topic, and it really depends on the specific circumstances of the operating room in question. Now, obviously, if a patient gets to choose the music when they're going to sleep, then we'll listen to whatever they'd like to hear, but only until they're under anesthesia, at which point someone's got to take over. In my experience, the way that it typically works is that whoever brings in a speaker to the operating room is the one who, by default, gets control over the music. But with great power of bringing your own speaker and being the DJ in the operating room also comes great responsibility, like making sure you choose music that everyone in the operating room is going to like, as well as being sure to clean off your speaker so that it doesn't become a cleanliness issue. And then, of course, if you're an anesthesiologist and you get regular breaks throughout the course of the day, you leave the operating room and your phone unpairs with the Bluetooth speaker, then when you come back into the operating room, you have to repair, and I know, anesthesia problems, but these are the things that we deal with. It's not always easy. I've worked in a number of operating rooms that actually have built-in sound systems, so there's no need to bring your own speaker here. These rooms either have a receiver that allows you to hook up your phone via Bluetooth, or some rooms even have an iPad that's permanently attached to the speaker system and is dedicated just to playing music in that operating room. These types of operating rooms with built-in sound systems tend to foster more democratic election processes where a DJ is nominated for the day, and depending on their performance, they may or may not be nominated at some point in the future. At this point, you're probably wondering what happens if no one has a portable speaker and there's not a built-in sound system. Well, you can always use a trusty suction canister. Drop your phone in there and crank the tunes. That tends to sound like listening to music out of a conch shell, which I guess some people find more enjoyable than listening to the beep, beep, beep of the anesthesia monitors. But to be perfectly honest, I'm personally content just listening to a high-pitched beeping sound coming at a nice, regular rate from the anesthesia monitor. But that's not for everyone. As far as what people like to listen to in the operating room, this has actually been studied and published in a couple of different papers that I could find. Obviously, preferences for musical genres are going to depend on what country someone's practicing in and what the local music is, but at least in the United States, some of the more popular genres are rock, classical music, and top 40. I guess top 40 is not really a genre, but it was included in this study. Moreover, people's preferences for volume has actually been studied, where it's been found that anesthesiologists tend to prefer quieter music as compared to surgeons who prefer slightly louder music. Veering away from published research, I'll speak to my own experience working in operating rooms in the United States by making some big generalizations about what types of surgeons prefer what type of music. If I walk into an operating room and hear electronic dance music playing at a fairly high volume, I can be pretty sure that across the surgical drapes are plastic surgeons. If, on the other hand, classic rock comes on, I can be pretty sure that I'm in an orthopedic surgeon's room, and what's more, they're probably age 40 or over. This is an important distinction to make from hearing a hip-hop barbecue playlist, which if that comes on, then again, I know that I'm in an orthopedic surgeon's room, but they're probably under age 40. Another pretty reliable pair is if I walk into an operating room and hear Katy Perry or Taylor Swift or something of the like, then I can be pretty sure that my colleague is an obstetrician gynecologist. Pediatric surgeons tend to have a pretty diverse range of music that they listen to, and they're hard to pin down. Cardiac surgeons, in my experience, tend to be either more classical music or country music, but pediatric cardiac surgeons generally don't want to listen to any music at all. In fact, they want it to be so quiet in the operating room that once a peds cardiac surgeon asked me to turn off the volume for a monitor that was turned off. I still haven't figured that one out. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to check out this video where I go into detail explaining why it's often so cold in operating rooms. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.